special press briefing by Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Mishri on the ongoing state visit of the President of Russia. We also have with us our Ambassador to Russia, Shri Vinay Kumar, and Joint Secretary, ERS Division, Ministry of External Affairs, Shri Mayank Singh. With that, I invite Foreign Secretary to give his opening remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Randir. Good afternoon, or rather, good evening now. Thank you all for being here. As you all know, the President of the Russian Federation, His Excellency, Mr. Vladimir Putin, is currently on a state visit to India for the 23rd annual summit between India and Russia. He is accompanied by a high-powered delegation comprising several senior ministers and officials of the Russian Federation, and also a very large business delegation. You would also be aware that this year we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Declaration on Strategic Partnership between India and Russia, which was established coincidentally during the first state visit of President Vladimir Putin to India in October of the year 2000. And in 2010, 15 years ago, the relationship was elevated to the status of a special and privileged strategic partnership. In that sense, this visit on the 25th anniversary of the Declaration of the Strategic Partnership is indeed a very special visit. In a very special gesture, President Putin was received on arrival yesterday evening at the airport by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. The two leaders then rode together to the Prime Minister's official residence, where the Honorable Prime Minister hosted President Putin for an informal dinner, over which there was a frank and candid exchange of views between the two leaders on a wide range of bilateral, regional and global issues. This morning, President Putin was accorded a ceremonial welcome and guard of honor at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan, following which he visited Rajghat, where he paid floral tributes to the father of the nation. Both leaders then convened at Hyderabad House later in the morning to hold wide-ranging discussions in restricted format, followed by a lunch hosted by the Prime Minister. The leaders thereafter jointly took part in the India-Russia Trade Forum held in Bharat Mandapam just a short while ago, with the presence of key stakeholders from the business community, both in India and in Russia. The focus of the forum was on the shared ambition of both leaders to expand the economic dimension of our bilateral partnership by increasing our bilateral trade in a balanced and sustainable manner, including primarily by increasing India's exports to Russia, strengthening industrial cooperation, and forging new investment partnerships. The outcomes of discussions during the business and sectoral discussions that have been ongoing over the last 2 days were presented to the two leaders this afternoon. For details on these, I would refer you to our Ministry of Commerce, which has been coordinating these events. Later on in the evening, today, Honorable Rashtrapati Ji will receive President Putin at Rashtrapati Bhavan and will be hosting a state banquet in his honor. Now, as to the focus and outcomes of the visit, both sides have adopted a joint statement, which you might have had opportunity to see. The joint statement testifies to the India-Russia relationship as a time-tested, progressive partnership that is anchored in trust and mutual respect. It reflects the very special nature of our ties and provides a comprehensive framework for further deepening our multifaceted bilateral partnership. In addition to the joint statement, there were several agreements and MOUs that were concluded and exchanged during the visit, some of them in the presence of the leaders this morning. These include agreements on labor mobility, on maritime cooperation, health, culture, trade, media cooperation, as well as several business-to-business MOUs. And I think the details of these are available on our website as well. Economic cooperation, I would say, is the driving impulse and the most important focus of this particular visit. As I said just a while ago, expanding bilateral trade and strengthening economic cooperation requires swiftly addressing non-tariff barriers and regulatory impediments, enhancing Indian exports to Russia in sectors such as pharmaceuticals, agriculture, marine products, and textiles is important to correct the trade imbalance, and each one of these sectors in considerable detail was discussed between the two leaders today, with both of them pointing to the opportunities that existed in these areas and what were the steps that were needed that could be taken by both sides in order to move towards the mutually shared objective of increasing trade in these areas. Agreements in mobility, as I said, and these are two agreements in particular: the agreement on temporary labor activity in both states and the agreement on cooperation in combating irregular migration. They form a centerpiece of the understandings reached during the ongoing visit. Indian skilled workers, especially in IT, in construction and in engineering, will help meet Russia's labor needs and deepen our bilateral cooperation. In fact, there is increasing interest among Russian businesses and industries to hire skilled manpower from India to support growing economic activities in Russia. The India-Russia Trade Forum that concluded just a short while ago, which the leaders attended together today, thus becomes a very key element of the visit. You would have followed that. Both the leaders gave a joint call for action to their respective businesses to expand the linkages between them. In this context, I would like to point to another very significant outcome of this particular visit, which is the program of economic cooperation going up to 2030 that has been adopted during this particular summit. And it also serves to give overarching guidance to both sides to expand the scope of the economic dimension of this relationship. The discussions today also focused considerably on the proposed free trade agreement that is under discussion between India and the Eurasian Economic Union, which is again expected to help address the issue of the trade deficit. It was agreed between the two sides that negotiations should be fast-tracked for early conclusion within the stipulated timelines. The terms of reference for this agreement had in fact been finalized and signed during the visit just a few weeks ago of the External Affairs Minister to Moscow. I think it was in August of this year, when he had co-chaired the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic and Cultural Cooperation with Mr. Denis Manturov, the first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia. During the current visit, both sides also underscored the importance of expediting the discussions and the negotiations on the bilateral investment treaty, which again will help energize investments in both directions. In addition to this, connectivity initiatives were also discussed, including the International North-South Transport Corridor, the Eastern Maritime Corridor, the Chennai-Vladivostok route, and also cooperation along the Northern Sea route. These corridors, again, are expected to energize economic linkages, reduce transit times, and expand our trade access across Eurasia and beyond. India-Russia defense and military technical cooperation remains robust. Russia also continues to support India's Make in India initiative in this domain, including through joint production and technology transfer. This is also an area that was discussed between the two leaders. The Prime Minister appreciated President Putin's support in expediting the opening of 2 new Indian consulates in Kazan and Yekaterinburg. The plaques for the 2 new consulates were in fact again unveiled by the External Affairs Minister during his recent visit to Russia for the SCO Heads of Government meeting. These consulates will further deepen our regional outreach in Russia and enhance trade, academic exchange, other kinds of collaboration, including culture and people-to-people ties. On global and multilateral issues, both leaders reaffirmed their shared commitment to the reform of global governance. We underlined the imperative to reform the UN Security Council to reflect contemporary realities, and our collaboration in forums where both India and Russia are members, such as the G20, BRICS, and SCO, remains forward-looking. Now, President Putin also briefed Prime Minister at considerable length concerning recent developments on the conflict in Ukraine, including on the talks that are currently underway between Russian representatives and US authorities. Prime Minister reiterated India's long-standing position on this conflict, emphasizing India's interest in seeing the earliest possible cessation of hostilities and a sustainable resolution of the conflict through dialogue and diplomacy. And you would have heard the Prime Minister's remarks during the press event earlier today. India stands ready to provide any assistance required in this effort and to play an appropriate role in this effort. The two countries also, or rather the two leaders also discussed the situation in other regional hotspots around the world. On terrorism, the two leaders reiterated their resolve to fight jointly against all forms and manifestations of terrorism, and the Prime Minister reiterated India's zero-tolerance stance on terrorism, and President Putin reiterated Russia's support for India in this effort. So to conclude, I can say that the visit has helped deliver some very substantive outcomes. The rich discussions between the two leaders have helped deepen the trust and mutual respect for each other's core national interests. As I said earlier in my remarks, the overarching focus of this particular summit was to expand and strengthen the economic dimension of our partnership to advance towards the shared goal of reaching $100 billion in bilateral trade by 2030. The India-Russia relationship also remains an anchor for constructive engagement in an increasingly complex geopolitical environment, and both our sides are committed to continue to do our part in addressing the challenges that the current environment poses for both countries. Let me stop here, and if you have some questions, I know we have a hard stop in a short period of time, but we'll be happy to take a few questions.
So, can we begin with Pranay here?
Foreign Secretary, this is Pranay Upadhyay from India Today Aaj Tak. The joint statement mentions about the interoperability of the payment system and the currency exchange system as well in rupee-ruble trade. So, what is the mechanism agreed between India and Russia to make it, insulated from the Western sanctions? And how many Indian banks are ready to accept ruble as a mode of payment?
Siddhant?
Hi, sir. So my question is, geopolitical message by both Russia and India in terms of economics at a time when their countries engaging in protectionist policies. And my second question is, we have extended the visa facility, the 30-day e-visa facility for tourists, Russian tourists. Have they also extended similar facility for the Indian tourists?
Keshav?
Thank you, sir. Keshav here from The Print. My first question is on this irregular migration from the Mobility Pact. Here, sir. Is there anything in this pact that deals with the status of the Indians in the Russian army, and was that raised between the two leaders at any level? And I just wanted a clarification from the joint statement. It had a line on Iran, and that only through dialogue can the Iran nuclear situation be solved. And we saw that India joined the joint statement of the SCO condemning the strikes earlier in June on Iran. Does this signal a sort of change from the original positioning that India took in June when the strikes were taken on the Iranian nuclear facility, as India has deepened its ties with SCO and Russia in the last few months? I just wanted to check on that. Thank you.
Madhu?
सर, जैसा कि ज्वाइंट स्टेटमेंट में हमने देखा कि टेररिज्म को स्पेशल मेंशन दिया गया है मधुरेंद्र न्यूज नेशन से, और साथ ही स्टेटमेंट के दौरान भी प्रधानमंत्री ने मेंशन किया ऑपरेशन सिंदूर जैसा कि अभी भी ऑन है। तो क्या दोनों राष्ट्राध्यक्षों ने इस बारे में बातचीत की कि कैसे आगे टेररिज्म को टैकल करना है, उसको लेकर क्या ज्वाइंट बातचीत हुई? क्योंकि पहलगाम हमले का जिक्र तो प्रधानमंत्री ने किया, लेकिन उसके ठीक बाद दिल्ली में भी ब्लास्ट हुआ, वो भी एक बड़ा आतंकी हमला था जिसमें काफी लोग मारे गए। तो क्या दिल्ली ब्लास्ट को लेकर भी कोई जिक्र हुआ?
Kalol?
Kalol from the Hindu, sir. The Prime Minister referred to Bharat-Rus Mitrata एक ध्रुव तारे की तरह बनी रही है. Would you please elaborate on what is exactly the meaning of, could you please expand on the meaning of Dhruv Tara in this context? I mean, is it really equivalent to Pole Star, or is there a strategic dimension to it that is actually here in this statement?
So we can take these questions.
On Pranay, your question on interoperability, payments, the resort to payments in national currencies, that is increasingly happening for bilateral trade. Look, both countries are continuing to work together to promote mutual trade in our national currencies. You would be aware that special rupee Vostro accounts have been opened in significant numbers. They right now form a very effective mechanism in terms of lubricating, so to speak, the trade flows between the two countries. In terms of numbers, I don't know if I recall immediately, but I think there are more than 24, close to 24 banks that have opened a large number of these special rupee Vostro accounts that facilitate the trade between the two countries currently. We also hope, as I said, one of the major objectives during this visit was to reach understanding on how to increase Indian exports to Russia so that we can better address the trade imbalance between the two countries. I think doing these two things together, handling the trade balance together with expanding opportunities for settlement in national currencies will allow us to move towards this particular objective. Siddhant, your question on geopolitical messaging. Look, the India-Russia relationship, as I said, is an important relationship, not just bilaterally, but in terms of its regional as well as global significance. I have mentioned that it remains an important anchor for constructive engagement in a very complex geopolitical environment. This particular visit, as I said, its focus was on economic issues, on further building the industrial partnership, the investment partnership between the two countries. These are issues that have actually risen to the fore in current times. If you look around the globe, supply chains are under stress, trade relationships are under stress, investment is becoming more and more unpredictable. And therefore, in this environment, for our two countries to focus on these issues, that is a message in itself. On the visa facility, we have made these announcements at the present moment in order to promote Russian tourism into India. You would have probably seen the details. We have offered a 30-day e-tourist visa on gratis basis. This is on the basis of reciprocity. And we have also, I think, for the first time, started to look at group tourist visas, and that is also being done with Russia for the first time on a gratis basis. On the question related to whether the mobility agreement has something to do with the unfortunate issue of Indian citizens being caught up in the conflict in Ukraine by way of recruitment into the Russian army. This particular agreement doesn't have specific reference to that. In any case, I can share with you that this issue of the recruitment of Indian citizens into the Russian armed forces was broached by the Prime Minister, and our concerted efforts continue on a regular basis to secure the early release of Indian citizens from the Russian army. I would just take this opportunity to reiterate once again that our citizens should avoid very, very carefully any offers to join the Russian armed forces. We are seeing several cases of people stranded there and appealing to be rescued and brought out from there. And as I said, we are actively engaged in that effort. On the issue of the reference to Iran and no, I mean, the short answer to your question is that there is no fundamental change in our position on this particular issue. मधु, आपका प्रश्न था कि आतंकवाद को लेके जो आज बातचीत हुई और जो आतंकी हमला दिल्ली में हुआ, आपकी बात सही है। ये इस विषय पे खुल के बातचीत हुई दोनों लीडर्स के बीच। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज आपने देखा होगा अपने प्रेस के वक्तव्य में भी उन्होंने पहलगाम में जो आतंकी हमला हुआ था उसका वर्णन किया और ये भी कहा कि पिछले साल रूस में मॉस्को में क्रोकस हॉल में जो एक आतंकी हमला हुआ था, इन सभी हमलों की जड़ एक है, एक जगह है और हमें मिलकर इस खतरे का सामना करना होगा। तो इस पे बातचीत हुई और जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा, रूस की ओर से हमेशा हमें इस विषय पे सहारा मिला है, उनकी सहानुभूति मिली है, उनकी मदद मिली है, और हमें आशा है कि आगे भी ये जारी रहेगा. Kalol, I think partly, the answer to your question is in the translation of Dhruv Tara. But really, seriously speaking, the fact is that what the Prime Minister was trying to convey was to underline the sustained and long-term significance of this relationship. That this relationship is a constant, and it has been there over a period of time. It has been a time-tested relationship. There have been several crises along the way, but they have not affected the fundamentals of this relationship. And the fact that today we are, in a sense, also observing the 25th anniversary of the strategic partnership, it's come a long way. There has been progress in multiple areas. So, in a sense, the sustainability, the certainty of this relationship, I think this is what the intention was in the use of that term by the Prime Minister. Thank you.
So we go Rajesh.
Good evening, sir. I'm Rajesh Roy from the Associated Press. Wanted to ask if the Russians conveyed their position on the recent US sanction on two of Moscow's biggest oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil, which is an attempt by them to force countries like India to cut down on imports. Secondly, did the Indian side seek expeditious delivery of S-400, the remaining two squadrons of the air defense system? Any exploration for purchase of additional units, upgrading Su-30 fleet, and purchase of advanced fighter jets like Su-57?
Shruti.
Thank you, sir. Shruti Ranjan from Bloomberg. Foreign Secretary, if you could give us an understanding whether there was any discussion on oil and whether India and Russia, what they do about the oil trade. And secondly, in the joint statement, we see an elaborate mention of the nuclear power plants in both sides discussing a second site. If you could elaborate on that, sir.
Akhilesh.
सर मैं अखिलेश सुमन हूँ डीडी न्यूज़ से. एक आम आदमी का सवाल है कि बहुत सारे इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स जाते हैं रसिया में मेडिकल की पढ़ाई करने के लिए, और जब वे वापस आते हैं तो उनकी डिग्री को मान्यता तो मिलती है, लेकिन उनको 1 साल तक इंतजार करना पड़ता है प्रैक्टिस के लिए. तो आज हेल्थ कोलैबोरेशन की बात हुई, एकेडमिक कोलैबोरेशन के लिए साइन किया गया, तो क्या इस इशू को भी टेकअप किया गया है, आगे किया जाएगा कि उनको यहाँ प्रैक्टिस के लिए 1 साल का इंटर्नशिप या फिर एग्ज़ाम नहीं देना पड़े?
Angsha.
Excellency, this is Anangsha Matra. Excellency, President Putin has presented the Russian language edition of Gita. We know the history. And is there any discussion on Russian community in Mayapur in West Bengal? There's a big habitat, in fact, which hosts largest number of Russian community in West Bengal's Nadia district in Mayapur. Is there any discussion on them, as well as any discussion on Rupur nuclear plant in Bangladesh? Thank you.
Okay. Sumita.
So this is Sumita from ET Now. I have a follow-up question to what Sudhi asked, essentially about the energy security. And the Prime Minister stated that this is an essential pillar of the partnership. President Putin stated that we are ready to continue uninterrupted shipments. But can you elaborate on the agreements that were reached as far as the energy security spectrum is concerned? And secondly, on your point about addressing the trade imbalance and the fact that this visit was essentially focused on economic issues, is there a near-term guidance? You spoke about a long-term guidance, but was there any near-term guidance that was given?
Sir.
I think insofar as the Russian position on the sanctions that have been imposed, well, obviously there was a discussion on what has been happening with regard to energy cooperation between the two countries, and the Russian side put forth its position on the measures that have been taken by a number of countries. You didn't have to be inside the room to guess what that position is. It's fairly obvious. But insofar as the discussions on related to energy are concerned, and this also goes to, I think, the last question posed on the narrative on energy security. We have been fairly clear in terms of communicating that as a significant importer of energy, our priority is to ensure that 1.4 billion people in India have their energy needs secured. And our energy sourcing policies are guided entirely by this imperative. Ensuring stable energy prices and secure supplies are the twin goals of our sourcing policy. And part of this, therefore, goes into the area of diversifying energy supplies, and our partners, traditional as well as new, understand this and appreciate this. They also appreciate that Indian companies will take, and I point to the fact that this is something that covers both private companies as well as public companies, because in both cases these are publicly listed companies. They have fiduciary responsibilities, and therefore these companies make decisions on the basis of evolving market dynamics, on the basis of the commercial issues that they confront while sourcing their supplies. Within the four corners of this approach, we are continuing our cooperation between the two countries. On your other question related to various defense platforms, I think you would be aware that yesterday evening there was a meeting between the defense ministers of the two countries in the framework of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military and Military Technical Cooperation. I don't have the details or readout of that particular meeting, but I imagine that these issues that you referred to were discussed in that meeting. Between the Prime Minister and President, as I said in my earlier remarks, there was a general discussion on the robustness of and the long-standing nature of the India-Russia defense and military technical cooperation, and the fact that Russia is also participating in several Make in India defense related programs. And a lot of the focus was on, in fact, legacy cooperation between the two countries. But for the specifics, I think you would have to refer to the discussions yesterday that took place between the two delegations of the Ministries of Defense of the two countries. Shruti, insofar as your question related to oil is concerned, I think I've already answered. On the nuclear power project, as you are aware, actually there was a considerable amount of discussion on nuclear-related issues between the two leaders. Kudankulam 1 and 2, as you are aware, are already connected to the national grid, generating electricity. Work is currently underway on units 3 to 6, where, in fact, a number of the critical shipments with regard to units 3 and 4 are underway, and work to conclude agreements for similar things with respect to units 5 and 6 is already also proceeding in parallel. When it comes to the second site, this is an issue that has been under discussion between the two countries for some time now. As you are aware, selection of a site for a nuclear power plant is an elaborate and complicated exercise, has to take into account various factors related to siting, including environmental, and other related factors. These are all under consideration of the concerned authorities in the Department of Atomic Energy. We'll update you whenever there is a further development with regard to this. अखिलेश, आपने मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स के बारे में जो सवाल पूछा है, जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है, रूस में जो हमारे या किसी भी विदेशी मुल्क में हमारे विद्यार्थी जब पढ़ने जाते हैं, जब मेडिसिन की पढ़ाई के लिए जाते हैं, तो उन्हें वहाँ डिग्री मिलती है. लेकिन भारत में एज अ मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल प्रैक्टिस करने से पहले उन्हें एक इम्तिहान पास करना होता है, जिसे FMGE कहते हैं, फॉरेन मेडिकल ग्रेजुएट्स एग्जामिनेशन. और नेशनल मेडिकल काउंसिल NMC जो है भारत की, ये इस इम्तिहान को, इस परीक्षा को कंडक्ट करती है. और ये हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट है, ये भारत की रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट है कि बाहर से जो लोग पढ़ के आए उनके लिए एक हमारे रेगुलेटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स को ये स्टूडेंट्स मीट कर सकें, उसके लिए इम्तिहान ज़रूरी है. इसका रूस के साथ कोई लेना देना नहीं है, क्योंकि ये सभी देशों के लिए है. किसी भी देश में बाहर से कोई विद्यार्थी पढ़ के आए, मेडिसिन की पढ़ाई करके आए, उसको वापस आके ये इम्तिहान देना ही होगा. तो इसमें ऐसी कोई स्पेसिफिकली रूस को लेके, उनसे लेके कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है. I really don't have anything on this issue related to the Russian community in West Bengal. Actually, I've learned something today. I wasn't aware that there was one. Okay, but no, this did not come up in the discussions today. But I'm sure that the ambassador will probably look into it in much greater detail and probably see where we have. You asked about Rupur. There is ongoing collaboration on Rupur. Work is continuing on that, and we remain in touch with both our partners in Russia as well as in Bangladesh on taking forward the work that needs to be done on this. And finally, Sumita, I think the energy security part I answered, but on trade imbalance, insofar as the near term is concerned, I think it might interest you to know that in the recent past, as a response to the stresses that we have faced on several other fronts, we have, of course, engaged with various partners on looking for new markets, new consumers, etc. We have done the same with Russia, and in fact, in a very positive and I would say gratifying development, there are several sectors primarily related to fisheries, if I am not in the maritime marine products, and agricultural and horticultural products that we have seen new markets being developed. There was a reference to this fact today that there was uptake of Indian exports in a very short period of time in terms of the requests being made and the orders being placed and the exports actually being realized. And there was encouragement to take this further, and in fact the Russian side said that they would be ready to look at other products. In fact, there was a reference that if we were able to export these products in large quantities to many other parts of the world, there was no reason why they could not be exported to Russia as well. So short-term guidance, if you will, was for exporters to connect more intimately with each other and explore opportunities. And that is also what the forum this afternoon was all about, in terms of getting the importers and exporters together to explore these very opportunities.
Well, thank you very much. With that, we come to the close of this session. Thank you for your presence, ladies and gentlemen.